Good evening and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. I'm Vishnu Shom. We've been at the Bharat Mandapam now for the last couple of days at a time when the conversations around artificial intelligence are so very critical. We've seen several heads of state over here. I had the opportunity of briefly asking a question to the French President Emmanuel Macron as well. He's one of the key guests over here. In total, approximately 20 heads of state and also some of the world's finest tech gurus. They're over here because they want to look at the future of AI from a compliance standpoint, a risk standpoint, a safety standpoint, and an opportunity and economic standpoint as well. At the end of the day, India has come out with the New Delhi Frontier AI Impact Commitments. Before we listen in to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the French President Emmanuel Macron, let me describe to you what the AI Impact Commitments are. Well, a shared vision for inclusive and responsive AI. Anonymized aggregated AI usage insights must be provided. Evidence-based policy making is an absolute priority. Around the world, not just in India, a focus must be there when we talk about AI on job skills and economic transformation, data-driven convergence and governance for an AI-powered future. AI where languages work across languages. Remember, we've got so many. An AI that respects cultures, an AI designed for real-world use. They don't want talk, they want something that really applies. Innovation and equity, but certainly something that looks at real-world impact. On that, let's take a look at what the Prime Minister said and then what President Macron said as well.
इंसान सिर्फ डेटा पॉइंट न बन जाए, इंसान सिर्फ रॉ मटेरियल तक सीमित न रह जाए, इसलिए एआई को डेमोक्रेटाइज करना होगा। इसे इंक्लूजन और एम्पावरमेंट का माध्यम बनाना होगा। मानव का अर्थ होता है ह्यूमन, और मानव विजन कहता है एम मोरल एंड एथिकल सिस्टम्स, यानी एआई एथिकल गाइडेंस पर आधारित हो। ए अकाउंटेबल गवर्नेंस, यानी ट्रांसपेरेंट रूल्स, रोबस्ट ओवरसाइट। एंड नेशनल सॉवरेनिटी, यानी जिसका डेटा उसका अधिकार। ए एक्सेसिबल एंड इंक्लूसिव, यानी एआई मोनोपोली नहीं, मल्टीप्लायर बने। वी वैलिड एंड लेजिटिमेट। दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी युवा आबादी का देश है, सबसे बड़े टेक टैलेंट पूल का केंद्र है, सबसे बड़े टेक एनेबल्ड इकोसिस्टम का उदाहरण है। भारत नई टेक्नोलॉजी बनाता भी है और उसे अभूतपूर्व तेजी से अपनाता भी है।
Vendor accepts payments on his phone instantly. Instantly, for free, from anyone in the country. That is not just a tech story. That is a civilization story. And India built something that no other country in the world has built. A digital identity for 1.4 billion people. A payment system that now processes 20 billion transactions every month. A health infrastructure that has issued 500 million digital health IDs. Here are the results. They call it the India Stack, open, interoperable, sovereign. And I started with a story about a street vendor in Mumbai. 10 years ago, the world told India that 1.4 billion people could not be brought into the digital economy. India proved them wrong.
Even though there have been so many important heads of state over here, the French President Emmanuel Macron is certainly a spotlight. I had the opportunity of speaking to him briefly, asking him a question about the Indian Air Force's 114 Rafale process. It will eventually become a deal for India to acquire 114 Rafales, many made largely in India. I also spoke to him about the nature of the strategic relationship between the two countries, and he corrected me and he said that it's much bigger than what it was. Listening.
Relationship between India and France and the importance of the 114 aircraft deal that's now being looked at, the Rafale. Could you talk a little bit about both of these, please?
Yes, we agreed upon a lot of cooperations, building up what we already decided in defense, and increasing through innovation, because we launched Innovation Year, culture and creative industries, research, and so on. So we have a very strong relation, and I just would like to amend your statement, if I may. We don't have just a strategic partnership. We have a special global strategic partnership, which is unique, both for India and France. On Rafale, what we want to do is to expand. So India confirmed few days ago its willingness to indeed command a new bunch of Rafale, 114, and to co-produce. So the Make in India will be core in this new command. And on top of that, what we want to do is to improve the cooperation in maintenance capacities, in terms of diversification of approach, and to be much more, I would say, in a sort of mutual agreement cooperation. So it's a new step forward, clearly consolidating the existing one and going further. So Rafale is absolutely key. I hope we will do the same on submarines. We offered additional capacities, and we are doing it as well on the engines and on helicopters, by the way, between Tata and Airbus. So clearly the cooperation is improving, and we are building a new area of cooperation.
Well, Dario Amodai, one of the biggest speakers over here, the head of Anthropic, had some very clear messages, and I think this is what we all need to stand up and listen to. He spoke about the risks of AI. He spoke about how this was going to change a great deal of things for us. He spoke about how the reactions of AI applications was something which were really changing, and something we really need to look at, because the way we live is going to be closely governed by AI. These comments, perhaps absolutely critical.
One dynamic that we have observed is that technology and practices pioneered in India have historically set a standard for the global South and have helped to diffuse technology and humanitarian benefits through the global South. On the risks, India is the world's largest democracy and can be a partner and leader in addressing the global security and economic risks of the technology. We'd like to work with India on testing and evaluation of models for safety and security risks in the tradition that was started by many global and national AI security institutes that have been stood up around the world.
Sundar Pichai has also been over here, somebody who's been an outstanding product of an Indian education system, and now an absolute world leader in IT and tech and AI and all of that, had this to say about the opportunities in India when it comes to AI.
Isaac becoming a global AI hub. Just as I couldn't have imagined that one day I'd be spending time with teams figuring out how to put data centers into space, or taking my parents for a fully autonomous car ride in San Francisco. Seeing a Waymo right through my 83-year-old dad's eyes, I saw the progress in a whole new light. Of course, he said he'd be more impressed if it worked on India's busy roads. Still working on that one, Dad. The progress shows what's possible when humanity dreams big. Back when I was a student, I often took the Coromandel Express train from Chennai up to IIT Kharagpur. To get there, we passed through Visakhapatnam, Vizag. I remember it being a quiet and modest coastal city brimming with potential. Now in that same city, Google is establishing a full-stack AI hub, part of our $15 billion infrastructure investment in India. When finished, this hub will house gigawatt-scale compute and a new international subsea cable gateway, bringing jobs and cutting-edge AI to people and businesses across India.
Well, we spoke a little while earlier on about Anthropic. Their big rival, OpenAI, has also been here. Sam Altman had a keynote address over here. Let's listen into the key points that OpenAI had to say. Remember, ChatGPT is something approximately 80% market share is what it has.
It's also striking how much progress India has made in its mission to put AI to work for more people in more parts of the country. And India's leadership in sovereign AI, building on infrastructure, SLMs, and much more, has been great to watch. More than 100 million people in India use ChatGPT every week. More than a third of them are students. India is also the fastest growing market now for Codex, our coding agent that works to help people develop software faster and better. India, the world's largest democracy, is well positioned to lead in AI, not just to build it, but to shape it and decide what our future is going to look like. And it's important to move quickly. We believe we may be only a couple of years away from early versions of true superintelligence. If we are right, by the end of 2028, more of the world's intellectual capacity could reside inside of data centers than outside of them. This is an extraordinary statement to make. And of course, we could be wrong. But I think it really bears serious consideration. A superintelligence, at some point on its development curve, would be capable of doing a better job being the CEO of a major company than any executive, certainly me, or doing better research than our best scientists.
You know, we've been tracking some of your thoughts on AI, not using AI, I promise you, but more importantly, you speak of everyone being a generalist to augur well for the future. Being a generalist in a world of AI, is that the way forward to make sure that we can prevent job loss?
I think so, especially if you look at what AI does very well. It follows certain steps or processes very well, much better than human beings. And it can be, in terms of a specific subject matter, an expert, but it finds it very hard to mix certain subjects together. So being a generalist is definitely better than being a specialist. And what I've always been saying is I think that we are going to see the return of the polymath, a person who can do multiple things very well, because AI is going to push us in that direction, and because that's going to be the way to go.
Like a jack of all trades.
The jack of all, actually the ace of all trades.
The ace of all trades. And when it comes to the AI Impact Summit and your experience here, you've had a busy schedule. How does this really feature in the UAE-India relations? Do you think there's an AI connection there to be made?
Absolutely. I think Prime Minister Modi definitely planted the flag for India as a leader in artificial intelligence, and maybe a leader for a different type of AI, transparent AI, trustworthy AI, and open source, which the world needs. And championing that for the global south is the way to go, especially for a country that is a role model for many like India. And the UAE is a country that has always been calling for a more collaborative approach when it comes to artificial intelligence, a more open dialogue when it comes to AI. So we can amplify that message, we can magnify, and we can convene to support India and to support as well the global south on this.
And lastly, before we wrap up, His Excellency, the UAE is probably one of the most tech-forward countries in the region. Is AI genuinely at the top of the agenda and the priority list when it comes to different policy measures? I know tourism and tech is, but AI, is that at the forefront?
Absolutely. So AI is at the forefront, but it's not about AI. It's about quality of life improvement. So deploying AI in ways that improve people's quality of life. If we can do this, then that's where we go. If it's not going to improve the quality of life of people, but it's going to do another thing better, we tend to not jump into it aggressively. We tend to try to think about it and consider the ramifications of it.
Mr. Modi ji, first of all, congratulations on a fantastic summit. It's really been great. I want to talk about AI diffusion in India with an example. When I met Prime Minister Modi ji on 8th January and talked about applying AI to farmers, he said, why can't we apply it to cows and cattle? Because if the cow is sick, it can't tell you that it is sick. How can you solve this problem? And he gave us his vision of applying AI to agriculture and dairy. The same day, the PMO had a meeting along with Mr. Krishnan and Abhishek of METI with Amul and with some of my colleagues. And within 3 weeks, the application went live. The meeting was on Jan 8th. It went live on February 11th. This is the world's largest cooperative with 3.6 million farmers, 2 billion milk transactions per year, and 40 million cattle. And today, all these farmers, a large number of them being women, use the Sarlabin application, actually get real responses about their cattle, the problems, the pregnancy, the milk production, and so on. Look at the speed of diffusion. An idea that the PM had on Jan 8th has become reality on Feb 11th. This to me is an example of the speed of execution of AI diffusion in India. And I get the same sense of excitement I got on December 30th, 2016, when the PM launched the Bheem payment application on UPI. And when he launched that application, he started something where today we have 21 billion transactions a month with 500 million users and the world's largest payment system. I feel the same sense that AI is at that point, and with his leadership and vision of how AI can be used for the benefit of Indians, common man, farmers, workers, and so on, I think it's going to really take off. Moreover, this is also designed for sovereign data. The data of Amul remains with Amul, and design is to make sure that it's within India. So it's really a great example, and I think by the time many of these people come back in a few months, there'll be many, many more applications, and India will lead the world on showing how AI diffusion can matter to improve the lives of common man, farmers, students, patients, and so on. And I think this is where the AI road, the race to the top is going to happen. And thank you for your leadership, sir.
Sunil Bharti Mittal of Airtel is also looking at the possibility of getting into AI in a very big way. In fact, all industries in so many realms have a real stake in their own futures, which is why AI is something that's critical. Mr. Mittal spoke about AI as a great tech, as a great innovation, and something that his networks could look at very closely.
Here at the AI Summit, a lot is happening around AI. What does AI mean for your group?
Well, AI is, just to start with, is a great tool and tech innovation to make our networks better. They are becoming self-optimizing, self-training is going on. We are managing energy through it. And our customer-facing areas are finding great help with this. Our chatbots, our agents which are dealing with the customers, I think we've seen a significant help. Most importantly, as you would see here also, the spam and the fraud control that we have been able to do through the help of AI tools is absolutely breathtaking. It's actually a global first, and even the authorities have acknowledged that a reduction of spam or fraud on Airtel network has been significant.
So how do you plan to invest in AI? Any amounts that have been earmarked to invest in AI for the entire group?
We will keep on investing. We don't make any announcements of how much we are investing, but you know that we are one of the leading data center providers. So if you look at the arteries that will feed the AI revolution, one is the fiber network, which is huge and wide, and we continue to invest there. Submarine cable is the other part, which is absolutely essential. And third is AI data centers, which we are building at rapid pace. Airtel is committed to get to 1 gigawatt of AI data center capacity in the shortest possible time frame.
So what sort of synergies are you looking at with companies like OpenAI and Anthropic?
Well, we have 400 million customers, better quality customers, which everybody wants to, reach out to. The idea is to bundle, distribute to our customers, let them taste and snack these wonderful, applications, and then start to become subscribers. So we are in conversation with all of them.
Well, one of the highlights today was a moment where the Prime Minister held the hands of all the IT leaders around the world, and the Anthropic head, Dario Amodei, was there with the OpenAI head, Sam Altman. They were standing next to each other, but they refused to hold hands. Now that has a great deal to do with the rivalry of these two men, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that rivalry. This was clearly quite hard to miss. The awkwardness which was witnessed on stage involving two AI giants, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei. This was a rare simultaneous appearance. Altman and Amodei were seen hesitating to hold each other's hands. As you can see, during the hand raise, they instead raised their fist up in the air, refusing to hold hands. So let's also tell you about the rivalry of this, or the backstory of this rivalry, which played out at the global stage. Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei once worked at OpenAI and decided to part ways over OpenAI's approach to AI safety. In 2021, he went on to establish a rival AI research firm, Anthropic, which has done exceedingly well and has even outstripped OpenAI in API revenue. AI safety continues to be Anthropic's focus, while OpenAI was recently in the news for secretly doing away with Safe AI from its mission statement. It appears that the rivalry and disagreement between OpenAI and Anthropic still persists. Well, it's time now for us to take a short break. We'll continue to track the AI Impact Summit here in New Delhi. It's been absolutely huge, and I think these conversations are critical as the world comes to grip with new technology which is changing the lives and increasingly will continue to do so of billions across our planet. For the moment, goodbye.